Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to convert two readers. Now these came from a Jaguar system, but these are Alien 9900 Plus readers. If you have any problems connecting to them, or if you need to convert them from another timing system to this one, then I'm going to show you how to set that up. So the main component you're going to need to do this job is a USB to serial cable. Now the one I have is really short. I'd recommend getting one that's a couple feet long. The longer the better, just so you get more room to lay equipment around. But so I've got the reader, I've got my Ethernet cable connected the two up, got my USB to serial, and then of course I got the power supply. Now I do have an antenna hooked up so that once we get the reader and laptop talking to each other, we can do a quick test to make sure we're good to go. Of course I've got some tags here too. So the main component you need, besides the reader, power supply, USB to serial, and then next I'm going to show you what program you can run on the laptop to reset this to factory default and get everything working for you. The one thing I'll say is when you hook up any reader, hook up the power supply to the reader first, and then hook up the power to the battery backup or the wall or whatever. That'll help ensure that if this is live and you're trying to plug it in, especially with the Zebra readers, it can sit there and you can be sitting there shorting it until you finally get a good connection in there. So get a secure connection there and then plug it into your power supply. Alright, so now we're on the computer side of things, and so let's look at the first program I downloaded. Is a program called Teraterm. So if you just simply search Teraterm, then you'll find the very first link here. You click on that, and then I clicked on the download page, and then it should bring you to a spot here where you can do, for example, the Teraterm 4.97 EXE, and I've already installed it here, so let me just go ahead and open it up. Teraterm. Now, when this screen comes up, now all this is explained, by the way, in the reader interface guide. I don't expect you to read through all that, but a lot of the things like all the commands and the username and password and a lot of things you need can be found in there. But of course, hopefully this video will be all you have to watch to get the reader set up. So I'm going to select serial, hit OK, and then I'm going to set up serial port. And here, the one change you have to make is switch it from whatever the default is down to this one right here. And then hit OK. Now also, I do double check to make sure that the, I think it's the keyboard. No, it's got the terminal, I believe. It's got local echo, and I think that it may be defaulted to on, and then I usually turn that off. That way, if you find that every time you press a letter, it puts the letter twice, that means that you need to turn this off. And so with the reader completely booted up and you got the right settings there under setup and the serial port, you should be able to type in, for example, help, and then it's got all the different commands. Now let me make this window bigger. Now maximizing the window often kind of makes it go away here, but so let me just type in help. And so here is all of the commands you can run, different things you can do to the reader from the USB to serial port. So this is good because if the reader is set to a static IP that's on a different network, that means they cannot communicate through the Ethernet, the NIC card, then the serial connection here will let you reset the IP address, or at least see what it is, and do a factory reset and stuff like that. So it's been a little while since I've done this. So let me look up here. What I usually do is go up to the very top after help, and this network commands right here. These are the ones that allow me to see if DHCP is turned on or what the IP address is. And so let's go up to, so after you click on help, it's got, basically here is like if you type the word help, it's got a description of help text and all the things you can do. Info displays the current reader settings. So if I just type in info, then of course here's with the word info, all the settings of the reader currently. And so if I go up to the very top, then so the reader's version number and IP address. Now I've already reset this one. This reader, when I got it, of course, I'm assuming that Jaguar puts some firmware on the reader and does, they do different things to lock it down. So, a lot of the things were different than they are now. But so as the first thing I did is I came in here to see, okay, what is the IP address? And then once you find the IP address, of course, if you got an Ethernet cable hooked up, you should be able to go to, let's go to here, network and internet settings, and I can click on Ethernet, and then I usually go to this network and sharing center. There's other ways to get to that. I think you just type in network. If it brings up control panel, just from control panel, you can also get to network and sharing center. Now, sometimes with depending what version of Windows you're on, you may get to a category view like this, and of course you can go to Network and Internet, or you can just switch it to small icons, and then there's Networking Sharing Center. And then from here, you can come in here and say, well, if they've got 10.0.0.1 or whatever is set for the reader, then you can come into the properties area and then force the NIC card to be on the same subnet as a reader. So anyways, this is kind of one of those things. The idea here, I think the important, I'm not a networking guy, I just know enough to kind of get things kind of going. And so you want to look at what is the subnet it's on. And so here it should say netmask, which is 255.255.255.0. If your reader and the laptop are on the same subnet, then they will be able to talk to each other. And so they should. And so anyway, so they're on the same subnet. I set the default gateway, I think, to whatever the IP address the gateway is. But anyways, this is kind of the settings that I found for this unit that I can set to get it going. And so, anyways, once you see the IP address, let me pull back up Teraterm. I might pull up, now I think I can do it from Teraterm. I'm just going to pull up command prompt, and I know the IP address here. I can see it to the left is 192.168.1.100. So I'm going to try to ping that address. And if the computer says it's getting replies from it, and in this case it is, that tells me that the laptop and the reader can see each other. Now, of course, we're going to, in a second, assume that they can't see each other, and I'm going to show you what to do. But once I can see it, then I can get to the web console and type in the IP address. And then from here, I can update the firmware, do all kinds of stuff. And so the good thing about the Alien readers is that they do make it very easy to get to the firmware and to get to some demo software and different things. For example, the Alien Gateway. Let's see, Alien RFID Gateway. This is a free download from this page here. I think it's the demo software gateway right here. All I did to get here, by the way, was simply search like Alien 9900 plus. And I may even put firmware or whatever in there. But if you just do some basic searching, it should bring you to this page here. Where everything you need is here. And so with the gateway, you can test all your test your reader and do all kinds of things from here. Again, this is mostly about testing the reader. Is it reading tags and all that stuff? So anyway, so once we're in the idea here, the main thing is you want to get the reader and the laptop on the same network. And also, I think from the command prompt, I also did a factory reset. And so let's go and see where that's at. I can't remember. So let's go to help. Oops, help. And then I'm going to go to, see, I think let's go too far. Yeah, so here's where help starts. So after we finish doing some stuff, save is what, of course, saves the commands. Let me see if I can find a, factory settings. So that returns all settings to the factory defaults. So let's type in, when I press enter on that, you should see it. Okay, all settings reset to factory default settings. So I did do that when I first connected the reader. And then after that, then maybe I did info to see what the IP address is. Now I think you can also do, I can't remember if you had to put a question mark after it. Okay, yeah, so I think without a question mark, it may, it says invalid uses command, so you do have to put a question mark. And then it returns the IP address. And that may have been the only thing I did was simply do connect it. And then, out of curiosity, I think I, tried to see what is the IP address. And then I think I did a factory reset. I don't think I had to run like a delete macros or whatever to kind of make sure that it wipes away anything that the previous timing company put on there. But let me take a look at the commands one more time. In fact, let me just clear this screen. Clear screen. And let's do that again. Is it not going to? Okay, so let's do. Now, of course, I plan on putting on my users group page just the commands you need. Let's say network commands. Let's see. Well, let's go up to the top here. Let's scroll through. Okay, we did the factory settings. If if you have any problems, DHCP should be enabled. And so, but I think one thing, there are commands out there to set it to a static IP. Now you could definitely update the IP address as get or set the IP address. I think you can do help IP address maybe. And I thought there was, and maybe I'm thinking of the Zebra um, uh, web console or the command line here, where it should be able to tell you kind of an example. Here's what you need to do to set this up. But I know there's a way to set a static IP address if you did a factory reset and could not get the reader and laptop to talk to each other, then you may want to just set a static IP on the reader and then come in here and with the same subnet and everything else selected, try to get the laptop and the reader connected to each other. And I think the way I did that was simply there's probably lots of people that have posted commands in here how to do that. So I may have just copied and pasted there. But anyways, my goal is in this video is I probably should have written out a true script and showed you exactly what to type in. I just want to show you some of the tools I use and some things you can play with to get it going. So really all I've done is the factory default, and then I've checked to see what the IP address is. I may have run, delete all macros. I don't think so. I think doing a factory reset clears all that stuff, but I want to make sure that there's nothing from the previous vendor that is on here. And all this tag stuff, we're not going to do that here. The software, the AG racing program, and probably even the gateway when it connects it, sets a lot of these settings that need to set to string the tags to the laptop. So I don't think I have to do anything else here. So let's assume that factory settings and then getting the IP is all I had to do. And then from that point forward, what I did was I did go ahead and download the newest firmware, which you can do here. And once you have it on your computer, then you can go to upload firmware. And then the username and password to log in is alien for the username, and then password like this for the password. So you'll log in and you'll simply choose the file that you just downloaded from the website. And yeah, I think I downloaded before. And of course, you just hit upload file, and that'll update the firmware. Now that's not a required thing. I just did it because I don't know how old these units are, and I just thought maybe if I install the firmware from Alien, if the previous vendor did something weird with the firmware, maybe that would kind of erase what they did. But the point is, once I get all that done, then I can come in here, and of course, let's make sure I can still ping the reader. I can. So they still have a good connection to each other. Now I can come in here, since I know the IP address, and just add it in just by hitting the green plus button, typing in the IP address. Or with the software, and I'm going to turn this on, cancel this for now, I can hit the play button here, and this screen will listen for the heartbeats, which is the one benefit the Alien readers have over the other ones. Now they may be able to do it, I couldn't find it in the documentation. But the Alien reader, it will kind of send out messages to the computer. In the software, I do have it to where it'll listen for those and automatically add the Alien reader. So we should see it appear here in just a second. And it may take a minute or two for it to appear. In fact, I think it's coming now. You see the white cursor there. And let's see if it's coming. Checking readers. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I may go ahead and just add it so you see it working, but it should automatically find it and add it if it's in here. Let's go ahead and add it manually. I'll just call this Alien. And let's just give it a quick test. One thing I may have to do is I may have to log out of the web console. I think that may be what's got it hung up. I know that with Zebra readers, if you log in the web console, it will not allow any other programs to connect. So I got the gateway closed. Let's try the heartbeat thing again and see if that automatically adds it now that I've closed that out. There it goes. So right then, I guess it was the console was open. So right then it just added it automatically. And then once it's in there, you can close this out. Now it doesn't appear in the list here because it basically saved it in the background, but it should be, it's in there now. So I've hit the green plus button now that I've closed the web console. Hopefully this will connect. So yeah, now it's connected. And right now it's detecting to see how many antennas are attached, and it should return 1. And you should see antenna, it's 1, 2, hook up. So there's that one. Yeah, there it goes. So I got a couple tags here that are being read. So that's the idea behind it. I should be able to program tags and do everything like normal now. Yeah, this is simply getting the alien reader from another system up and going with this system. Someone was asking me what was my favorite reader. I would rank, the 3 major brands. I would put Zebra by far, like a long way ahead of everybody else, only because I can do hostname or IP address easily and it works. Now I can put a hostname and IP for the appends readers too, but it's a little more difficult to find the appends hostname, and there's just, I don't know, it's just a little harder. The alien readers, they just seem to be a little more finicky. There's a lot more settings that maybe more customization is good for in some environments, but in this environment, it seems like it just got in the way more. So I really like the clean, reliable interface with Zebra. I like the rugged design. And so there's a lot more, and plus the alien and appends readers do not come in a 4-port version. I think that makes a little like port splitters and different things you can add on to it, but I've heard there's problems with those. So I like the fact that the Zebra reader comes in you get the option to have an 8-port reader. And so, with alien or appends, if you need more than 4 antennas, which is rare. I mean, most races, 4 antennas is plenty, but if you needed more than 4, that means you have to buy another reader and then hook them up to a router, and then you hook the router up to the laptop, and the software will take all the data from as many readers you want to hook up and handle everything fine. But it's just more cost and more headache and more risk of, now you've got one or many readers going with the router, and what if the router goes out or something? So I like the fact that I can hook up more than 4 antennas and just depend on, good connection to the reader and be done. Anyways, there's a lot of benefits I like with Zebra. And then after that, like I said, I think appends would be my next brand, just because it seems like it's a more reliable and steady connection. The aliens just seem to, now I'm sure it works great in an environment where it's a static IP and never changes, and the laptop is connected to never changes, and everything's fine there. But with race timing, we're often packing and moving and then unhooking, connecting, and every weekend is a different place. And I'm always worried that my laptop will jump on some Wi-Fi network, with some public network without me asking, which I know you can turn that off, but still, I'm worried about something weird changing and all of a sudden I can't get a connection. But anyways, and again, if I was a network professional, I would probably set everything up to be static and not worry about it. But I like using DHCP just because it's 0 configuration. You just hook it up and it should go. But anyways, and that's the default setting, by the way, with the reader and with the factory resale. It is DHCP on. But so that's I hope this video helps some. Maybe not as clear as I'd liked for it to have been. But the idea here is you get a USB to serial cable, and this can work really with any reader you have trouble connecting to, not just these aliens here, but get a USB to serial cable, and then download a program like Teraterm. And there's PuTTY and there's different ones, but I use Teraterm. I've used a few, and this one just seems to be the easiest for me. So select serial, and then set up your serial port so that it connects to with these settings here. And then from here you can run a bunch of commands and do all kinds of stuff. If you want to take your time and read through all the different commands and read through what each one of them does, feel free. But I really think it should be pretty basic stuff. Just do a factory reset, get the IP address, and then you're done with this screen. And then once you've got that, you should be able to control it from the web console. Worst case scenario, the other thing to play with if you can't get a connection is check and see, okay, is my Ethernet port here, which usually, by the way, I do have it set to automatically obtain. But if you have any problems, you may want to set it a static IP like I did here. I think now that I've done a factory reset, I can probably let it do full DHCP. But anyways, so that's the only other area you may have to play with. And then after that, hopefully it just connects and works and you're good to go. So hope this video helps some people if you have any troubles. And if you need my help, then I'll be glad to jump on your computer and see what I can do.